What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope everyone is doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys are gearing up for a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great Friday. You guys already know what time it is, baby. Time for some live Week 10 fantasy Q&A. So hop in the live chat, man. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what you guys need. Starts, sits, adds, drops, roster confidence, roster non-confidence, who's on your bench this week, who is in your starting lineups. We've got about 48 hours or so until week 10 of the 2022 football season kicks off, until week 10 of the 2022 fantasy football season kicks off. So like I said, man, hop in the live chat. Let's get it popping. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's talk some fantasy football. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button, of course, if you are new to the channel. Oops, there we go. All right, and let's get it popping, man. Let's get it going. All right, so a couple things to go over here tonight. A couple things to take a look at, right? So we've got some bad injuries for the quarterback position at the end of the day, right? We know that Matthew Stafford is dealing with a concussion, still in concussion protocol. That was kind of surprise midweek. We know that Kyler Murray is day-to-day with a hamstring injury, and we know that the elbow injury to Josh Allen is still looking relatively bleak. He is officially listed as questionable, and we talked about this in last night's stream. No matter what, I don't believe we're going to know the true status of Josh Allen until Sunday rolls around, because the Bills want to keep this a secret. They want to throw off the Vikings game plan as much as possible. So I think there's a strong chance that Josh Allen does not play on Sunday. We need to start preparing for that. We need to start to look at what is the outlook overall for the Bills. What does this team become without Josh Allen and Case Keenum at the starting quarterback position? I still think that Stephon Diggs will be okay. There's just no way, if you're starting quarterback, you're not targeting Stephon Diggs in this matchup, right? But everyone else looks pretty bleak to me. I do think that Devin Singletary could get a little bit of a push as well, with the Bills having to turn to the run more. But Case Keenum is a capable backup quarterback, but he ain't no Josh Allen. So this is definitely something we need to keep in mind. In terms of Kyler Murray, that's another very realistic possibility of a quarterback not starting. And honestly, in terms of Matthew Stafford, that's another very realistic possibility with everything we've seen in terms of concussions being in the spotlight this season. So we really need to start preparing for two starting quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, who are in the top 6 in fantasy football, to not play this weekend. And we need to start thinking about Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, because you're not starting anyone else on the Rams. So we'll dive into that throughout the night, but that's really the biggest, moving into the weekend. Those are kind of the 3 biggest storylines, I would argue, in fantasy football, because they have some major impacts overall. On top of that, Kyron Williams for the Rams will play against the Cardinals, says head coach Sean McVay. So if you've been stashing Kyron Williams, I will continue to have him on your bench, but we got the green light, so we should see something there. If Kyron Williams is available in your league, he's worth picking up. Who in the world knows what Sean McVay is going to do at the running back position overall at the end of the day, but keep an eye on Kyron Williams. If he got dropped due to the bye week mania and injuries and things, he's worth picking up. You can get him as a potential starter, but keep in mind, Cam Akers still getting involvement, even if he's looked awful, and Darrell Henderson still getting involvement as well. Keep in mind that offensive line has been awful. They have made their 6th or 7th overall rotation for that offensive line going into the week. So maybe this is the week they start hitting, but I don't know, man. Kyron Williams going to play. We got something exciting. McCole Hardman, one of my favorite waiver wire pickups for the week. One of my favorite waiver wire pickups of the last couple weeks. Did not practice, and he is out this weekend against the Jags. A big blow. So maybe that gives MVS and Kadarius Toney a little bit of a push for the weekend as well. Outside of that, we got no news. But yeah, we got a McCole Hardman out. We got Kyron Williams playing. We got Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Kyler Murray going into the weekend as questionable. I will note with Matthew Stafford, he did practice in limited fashion today, so he's got the best outlook, but it's like he's the one we probably care about the least, I guess, because we're not starting Matthew Stafford. But I do think like Cooper Kupp takes a pretty big hit because him and Stafford have such good chemistry, right? If Stafford doesn't play. So we need to keep an eye on Stafford, Allen, Kyler Murray as we approach the week. Okay, let's hop into it. Let's talk some fantasy football, baby. Let's get into it. Guys, smash that like button for me if you haven't done so already. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football. All right. Was it worth, or excuse me, Ghost Hunter, what's up, man? How worth it would it be to add Elijah Mitchell's insurance policy for CMC? I have CMC, but don't want to find out what happens if he gets hurt. Yeah, go at him. Why not? Because Jeff Wilson's off this team. Eli Mitchell is the best handcuff to CMC. So I think CMC is going to be good to go this year, man. I think him and Barkley are going to finish the season, but you sure never know. I keep telling you guys, man, at this point in the season, running back depth is so incredibly important, and picking up these handcuffs there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's a very good idea at this point in the season. As a matter of fact, in the Catch Fam League, I'm currently rostering Alexander Madison, Kenneth Gainwell, and Chuba Hubbard all on my bench, just in case. And you just never know what's going to happen. All right, DJ Moore was not a start, man. I mean, the matchup was great. The rain didn't end up being as bad as we thought it was, but you're right, man. He was not a start back. Last night was rough, and really throughout last night's stream, like I know we went into the week with DJ Moore as a start and Terrace Marshall as a flex, but as the week progressed, I don't think we really talked about DJ Moore being a start last night. Maybe dependent on specific rosters, but last night I know in the stream we were really harping, don't start any receivers tonight. Don't start Kyle Pitts, So hopefully we didn't get you that one last night. But I think our big start last night was Foreman for myself. Steven wasn't as high, but I know for a lot of you guys I said start Foreman, and he ended up being like the only fantasy relevant player in this game outside of Drake London, who I don't think anyone started. But I also like Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson going into last night. And the Panthers played really well against the run, but yeah, DJ Moore bring a little bit of a teardrop to our eyes last night for sure. Bryce, what's good, bro? This is probably a dumb question. Should I trade Dameon Pierce and Foreman for Adams? It depends on the rest of your roster. Our receivers are Diggs, Hollywood, Randall Robinson, Tony, Keenan Allen. You got Stevenson, Kamara, Foreman, Pierce, Walker. I mean, you are absolutely loaded at running back. But coming off such a good game for Foreman and Dameon Pierce still being Dameon Pierce, as good as Adams is as like wide receiver 6, and obviously your team needs a receiver more than running backs right now, you should still be able to get a second player out of this. So I wouldn't sell yourself too short. Traded AJ Dillon and Hardman, or AJ Dillon for Hardman, win or L. I mean, I'd rather have Hardman on my roster, but he's not playing this week, so it doesn't help you this week. But yeah, I'd rather have Hardman right now, so I'll say it's a W. Luke, what's up, man? Aaron Jones, Connor, or Terry? I might go, if it's full PPR, I might go Terry into the weekend. I mean, it's not a good matchup on paper for McLaurin. I get it. But at the end of the day, the last time he played the Eagles, he had a good week. Week 3, he had 16.2 fantasy points. That's his third highest total on the season. So we know that Washington is going to be in a game script where they have to throw the football. So I don't mind that. I feel like he's the safest start, to be honest. But Aaron Jones and Connor bring some nice upside. I don't love Connor at the moment because we don't know if Kyler's going to play. The Rams have been very good against opposing running backs, but Connor still draws some value from his pass catching ability and those dump offs, but I just don't know what that's going to look like if Kyler doesn't play. So at the moment, I'm probably going Terry, Jones, and Connor. Do we have a true update on Aaron Jones at the moment? Off the injury report. Okay, good. So he gets Dallas. He just has such a bad matchup, man. I mean, frankly, I might go Connor over Jones just due to matchup, Honestly, I'm probably starting Scary Terry with the question marks around the other two. Juke, what's up, man? How are you doing? Should I try to trade Eckler for Diggs, Hill, or Jefferson? I have Chubb and Pierce, Waddle, Kirk, DK, Judy, and Chase when he gets back. I would hold, man. I mean, Eckler is going to be fighting for RB1 the whole season, him and CMC. I know Mixon's up there right now, but I think realistically he'll drop back to like the top 5 or 6. But I would keep Eckler. I'd roll with Eckler, Chubb, Dameon Pierce, Waddle, and then Christian Kirk or DK in your starting lineup, and then wait for Chase to get back. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like, Diggs, Hill, JJ, all great, without a doubt. Especially the way Hill is. I mean, I'd want Hill right now out of all those players. But, you know, at that point, you'd have Chubb, Pierce, Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and then Christian Kirk or DK in the flex, and then Chase when he comes back. So, really, like, you're just looking at position, you know, like, you're really swapping the potential RB1 for a potential wide receiver 1 in Tyreek Hill. But I don't know if you can straight up do that trade. I would probably hold, but let me know what you think. Let me know what you're thinking overall, man. We can continue to dissect that. Pick up Purine for Gallup. That's fine. I mean, we'll see what Gallup does this weekend. But, yeah, he's not really bringing any true value. So, go get them handcuffs, man. I hope Josh Allen starts. Picked up Jacoby Brissett. Okay, so let's hope Brissett can have a little bit more of that magic that he had in week 8. Or was that week? Yeah, week 8. It was on bye week in week 9. Against the Dolphins, it's a good game script. Dolphins are allowing a lot of fantasy points to the position, so he's not a bad streaming option, actually, if you need him. He's just been very inconsistent on the year. Bryce, oh, already hit that. Jeff, what's up, man? I started Patterson, had Foreman on the bench. Oh, man. Yikes. I thought Patterson would have a much better game. It was a weird usage for the running back position overall for the Falcons. Like, they weren't just using 1 or 2 running backs. Like, they were literally using 4 running backs. Like, we literally saw Caleb Huntley, Avery Williams, and Tyler Algier, and Cordell Patterson, and Marcus Mariota had like 40 rushing yards. So, it was just ugly, man. I mean, he literally had 3 points in PPR, 5 carries, 18 rushing yards, and a reception. I mean, yeah. I thought and don't get me wrong, it's not like our read was too bad here because the Falcons ran the football a lot last night. Like, they had to. But Patterson just didn't get the involvement that we would like to see, and the split overall was just wild in terms of rushing yards. So, what are your thoughts on both Patterson and Foreman? I'd still hold both of them. Patterson continues to be a flex option. He just brings boomer bust capability on a weekly basis. And frankly, like, when you look at the matchup, the Panthers just played much better against the run on top of that than we thought they would. Like, they kind of wised up and, like, forced the Falcons to throw the football, forced Marcus Mariota to throw the football in this game, and outside of that, challenged the run game and knew that the Falcons are going to run the football because look at the weather, right? So I still think Patterson, this was just a bad game script, is worth holding on to in terms of an overall flex option. Foreman, I know he had the really bad week against Cincinnati, but overall, like, we know the Panthers are going to hand him the rock. So he gets Baltimore and Denver in the next 2 weeks. I'd be pretty wary in these next 2 weeks. He's no more than a flex because those matchups are rough. But week 14, he gets Seattle. Week 15, he gets Pittsburgh. Those are favorable matchups. Week 16, he gets Detroit. So don't trade him. Don't drop him. Those 3 weeks in a row, including weeks 1 and 2 of the fantasy playoffs, are really good. Pittsburgh week 15, Detroit week 16. Then he goes back to earth in week 17 against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are one of the best teams in the league against opposing running backs. But their worst performance defensively, if I'm not mistaken, was week 8. Was one of their worst performances, I was reading that wrong, is week 7 against against the Carolina Panthers, where Foreman had 16.5 fantasy points. So, bottom line, he had 16.5 fantasy points against Tampa Bay earlier in the season. I still hold on to both these players, especially Foreman, bottom line. All right. Sorry, kind of butchered that at the end, though. All right. Che, what's good, bro? Thanks as always. Shout out from Wyoming. What's up, Che? I watch your tight end must starts, and I have Higbee in full PPR. Komet and Otten are both available. Fields is my QB. Should I switch or let Higbee kill me again? You know, frankly, with the news around Matthew Stafford, I'd probably go with Komet or Cade Otten. Like, the best matchup here is Tyler Higbee. That's why he makes the list, right? Like, even with the backup quarterback at play, he's going to be a security blanket against the second worst team in the league against opposing tight ends. But Cade Otten has the best matchup possible against the worst team in the league against opposing tight ends in the Seattle Seahawks, and has Tom Brady at quarterback. Komet has a very favorable matchup against the Detroit Lions and has Justin Fields at quarterback. And I mean, I just really think that the Bears are going to have an explosive day. So Yes, I still like Higbee going into the week. I still think he can be in that must-start category just based on matchup alone. He gets a ultimate boost, if Stafford plays. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Komet or Otten in my lineup going into the week. You don't have to drop Higbee, but if you can pick up one of those other guys and plug him in for the week, I like it. Let's see here. What's up, Diggs? Good to have you here. Jason, Jamal Williams or Michael Pittman on the week? I'm probably going Jamal Williams against the Bears. He just feels like a lock for a touchdown. So I think I'll roll with Jamal Williams here. Pittman, yes, a good matchup against the Raiders, but at the end of the day, I just don't trust this offense. I don't trust Sam Ehlinger throwing the football. So I'll go Jamal Williams. Ghost Hunter, any updates on Zeke? Let's take a look here. Last I checked, he still was a big old question mark. He's officially questionable against the Packers, so we don't have a clear read here. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. This might turn into a game time decision. So, yeah, officially listed as a questionable player going into the weekend. So not great. Should I trade away CeeDee Lamb for Amon-Ra? I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb. I just think I just think he just brings a lot more consistency, and I think that the Cowboys are going to start to actually play pretty well overall. Not that they've been playing awful by any means, but yeah, I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb because I feel like there's more consistency within the Cowboys offense. But Amon-Ra probably brings more upside. Olave rest of season rankings and Mike Evans rest of season rankings. Olave, I really like overall. I mean, just the consistent floor on a weekly basis. I think he's a top 15 receiver for the rest of the year. Easy. He gets Pittsburgh, the Rams, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, a bye week, Atlanta, Cleveland, Philly. Basically 50-50 in terms of matchups. Yeah, I mean, he's your wide receiver 15 right now. I don't think it's unfair to say he finishes as a top 15 the rest of the way. Mike Evans is receiver 11 at the moment. He gets Seattle, a bye week, Cleveland, New Orleans, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Arizona, and Carolina. There are some tougher matchups for Mike Evans, so I'll probably put him in that same range as a top 15 guy. Bryce, you should make a rest of season rankings video unless you got it on something where you got to pay. I don't. I could try and work that in. Right now I'm working on a series that'll start being released tomorrow of just essentially most favorable playoff schedules for each position and players to take a look at, players to target and trades before your trade deadline overall. So I will keep that in mind for sure, Bryce. And looks like Christian asking some similar questions, so I'll definitely keep it in mind. Ghost Hunter, thankfully for my opponent, doesn't watch these streams and started Pitts. Yeah, we really didn't like Pitts last night. Bryce, do I try and get Connor, AJ Dillon, or Jeff Wilson off the person with Adams? I go Connor or Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson probably better in terms of the offense he's a part of, less uncertainty there. We know that the Miami Dolphins are going to run like full steam ahead all season. So I'd probably go Jeff Wilson, but Connor's fine too. He's got some tough matchups and some good matchups coming up, but his productivity really depends on Kyler Murray at the end of the day. Herbert or Garoppolo? Man, I have seen this question so many times this week. Like, so many freaking times. I'd probably go Garoppolo. You know, I've gone back and forth on this one. I probably go Garoppolo. It's tough here. I mean, it's just not a great matchup for Herbert. It's a bad matchup at the end of the day, man. Niners are in the bottom 10 in points allowed to the position. You got Mike Williams out, Keenan Allen out, Josh Palmer and Gerald Everett, and then dumping off to Austin Eckler are his only options. Similar to last week against the Falcons, where he had 13.1 fantasy points. The Niners are a much better defense overall. So I do worry about Herbert this weekend. I think he's going to, potentially have a better week, but I thought he could scrape through last week against the Falcons. Like, he was in the must-start video. And he couldn't get it done, so I'm less confident. I go Garoppolo for a safe floor, but the other way to look at this to play devil's advocate is that the Niners are probably going to run the football a lot because the Chargers have no run defense, essentially. They're one of the worst teams in the league against the run, so you're probably going to see a lot of CMC involved, and maybe that limits Garoppolo's ceiling. And Herbert will be forced to throw the football more. I just worry, man. I worry. Trust your gut on that one. Should I trade CMC for Evans and Kamara? No. I would keep CMC. Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor this week, IVTN. I say go Kenneth Walker, but Jonathan Taylor has got a very good matchup. I still go Walker, though. Even in a tough matchup against the Bucs. Pick 2 wide receivers in the flex. Judy, Palmer, Godwin, and Pickens. I go Palmer because the volume should be there. Once again, Chargers should be in a game script where they need to throw the football. And I go Godwin because he's just so safe on a week-in, week-out basis. Don't get me wrong, like the Seahawks are good against opposing receivers, but if you don't like Godwin and you want to play for upside, go Judy. He's got a great matchup against Tennessee. Mike, what's up, man? Should I trade CD and Zeke for Adams, or should I ask him to add someone? I have Chubb and Connor. I say go get Adams here. I mean, I don't mind CD here, but yeah, go get Adams. And I think CD and Zeke for Adams is pretty fair. Depends on the rest of your roster, though. Diggs, guy 7-2 has Allen. I have Murray. Should I hold or beat him to a quarterback on waivers? It depends on how it affects your bench, but I say go pick someone up. Why not? But kind of the issue is, like, no matter what, like, there's probably going to be someone for him to pick up. So unless there's someone out there who you think is just going to have a studly week at the quarterback position, you might just hold here. Depends on who you're dropping and everything. Emmy, I dropped Kate Otten for Komet this week. I have Mark Andrews. He's on bye. I don't mind that. Like, I think Otten's going to have a good week, but I think Komet's going to have a good week. They're basically in the same exact tier for me, so I think he'll be all right, Emmy. Should I keep the Titans or go Raiders, Giants, Saints, or Broncos? I like the Titans this week, but I really like the Broncos. It depends. Do we know if Tannehill's out or not? Let's see. He's still questionable. I don't know, man. If Malik Willis is the starting quarterback, I'm going with the Broncos. But until then, hold on to the Titans. If I were to trade Goddard, what receiver should I try to get? The guy I'm trading with had Waller's receivers or Jay Jettis. T. Higgins, Thielen, Godwin, and Lazard. I have Kelsey, so I'm good at tight end. I mean, start with the high asking price. Try to get Lazard and Godwin. I doubt that'll happen, but yeah, any combination of T. Higgins, Godwin, and Lazard are fair. But keep in mind, Goddard's your tight end 4 on the season. Like, he holds a ton of value, so don't sell yourself short here. You know, even if it's Godwin and Thielen, Lazard and Thielen, like, those are fair trades, you know. You're not going to get JJ, though. Albert, what's good, bro? Jeff, I might be able to trade either Foreman or Patterson for Swift. Should I? Maybe Patterson. I keep Foreman for now. But, guys, like I said, I'm working on a series. It'll start releasing tomorrow. Best strength of schedules for the fantasy playoffs. The Detroit Lions have a very, very favorable overall strength of schedule. Weeks 15 through 17. So, if you guys have an opportunity to trade for Jamal Williams and or DeAndre Swift, while I kind of lean towards Jamal Williams, because we're looking further out into the end of the season here, then I say do it. You know, if it doesn't cost you a lot. I think Patterson for Swift is fair. I'd keep Foreman for now. Should I trade CMC for Kamara and Evans? I would not personally. It's not an awful trade, but I'd rather just keep CMC. Fields are 2 this week. I also have Waddle. Both are phenomenal options. I'll go Fields. More upside. Great matchup, but nothing wrong with either of these starts. Differently, Jimmy G or T-Law this week. I go Jimmy Garoppolo because he's extremely safe. Trevor Lawrence has a tendency to throw the football, to throw interceptions, to turn the football over. I guess it's a good thing if he has a tendency to throw the football. But he does have a good matchup. Like, the Chiefs haven't played very well against opposing quarterbacks at all. They're actually, like, I think the 6th best team for quarterbacks to go up against. So he doesn't have a bad matchup, and then the game script should favor him. I mean, this should be a game script where the Jaguars probably have to throw the football a little bit. The Chiefs are pretty good. So, but ETN's going to see a lot of involvement in this game as well. So, ultimately, Jimmy G for a safe floor, Trevor Lawrence for upside, but far more risk. Justin Herbert or Kirk this week and rest of the season? I mean, at the moment, I'm going Christian Kirk. Excuse me, I'm going Captain Kirk and Kirk Cousins, but it's close here. It's close. I don't want to give up on Herbie like that. This is my guy all off season, but we need this Chargers team to get healthy. We need this offensive line to play better. We need this defense to do something. Herbert's just got no support around him, man. Would you drop Myers for Bullock this week? No, I would not drop Myers at all. Not even close. I don't care what the matchup is. I am not dropping. Isn't he your kicker number 1 in fantasy? He's kicker 2. I mean, it might not be the best matchup, I guess. I haven't looked at how well the Buccaneers fare, but no, I would keep Myers for sure. Worry about dropping Myers potentially next week, but even then, I don't know if I'm dropping Myers. The only kicker in front of Jason Myers right now is Justin Tucker. Russell Wilson or Rodgers, Lamar Jackson on bye. I'm going to go Russell Wilson because the Tennessee Titans have a very bad secondary, so at least he's got a shot. They're going to limit the run game. That pass rush is very good. But I don't want to start Aaron Rodgers the way this offense looks against the Dallas Cowboys defense right now. Not even close. Just got offered a Monroe and Kelsey. I'd be giving up Adams and Olave. I can start Palmer, Pickens, McColl instead of Olave until I get Mike Williams and Jamar back. I wouldn't do it, man. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I just don't know when Mike Williams and Jamar are going to be ready for you. It depends. If you're in a win-now situation, I probably don't do it. If you're sitting back, cruising, you feel like you're going to make the playoffs, I consider it. But Adams and Olave are a lot to give up. That's the wide receiver 6 and wide receiver 15. Amon-Ra for Olave is not awful value. And then Kelsey gives you a huge positional advantage. So I'm always in favor of going out and getting Kelsey. But overall, I don't know, man. It's not awful. You just really limit yourself at receiver if you do the trade. So it's very close. I hope Stafford doesn't play. I'm going against Kupp this week. Well, that'll help you, Emmy, for sure. For your sake, I hope he doesn't play. McLaurin, Connor, or Deontay Johnson. What's up, fam? First, I go Scary Terry. Daniel, betters flex this week. Swift, Mooney, Sutton, Randall Robinson. I go Mooney. In PPR, I go Mooney. I think he's going to have a good week for sure against the Lions. What's up, Daniel? Warrior Loft, what's up, man? I'm 8-1 at 8-man league. I have Lamar, Fields, CMC, Chubb, Diggs, Adams, Hopkins, Waller, Damian Pierce, Judy, Evan Ingram, and the Eagles and Bills defense. I just traded Lamar for Mark Andrews. What do you think of the trade? I also picked up Watson. So you're leaning... I would have personally... I don't know. It's close, man. Yeah, it gives you that advantage at tight end once Mark Andrews is healthy. Two of my favorite quarterbacks to own for the fantasy playoffs right now are Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. Lamar Jackson, favorable start to the playoffs. Really, overall, pretty good schedule for the playoffs. Fields, that Week 17 matchup is going to be really beneficial. But just keep in mind, I'm not completely against the trade. He went out, you got a huge positional advantage when healthy at tight end and Mark Andrews. But Fields has some good matchups coming up. Like he gets the Lions this week, he gets the Falcons next week. He also has a bye week coming up. He also sees the Jets, the Packers, the Bills, and the Eagles. Not in that specific order, but don't get me wrong, he got 26 points against the Cowboys. He's going to create a lot of game scripts where he's keeping this offense humming, but just keep in mind, you're probably going to need another quarterback at some point. So just keep that in mind. Watson's okay as a backup quarterback, but we need to see him play. Bryce, can't wait for the catch fam to make it big. All this work's going to pay off. Hey, I appreciate that, man. It's kind of you. It's nice to hear every now and then, too, man. I appreciate that. After the view, what's up, bro? How are you, man? How you doing? Nady, Godwin, Swift, or Jeff Wilson? I'd probably go Jeff Wilson. But Godwin's the safest start here, even in a bad matchup. So, Godwin... Wilson's fine, though. Wilson against the Browns. The Browns have been awful against the run. He should score, right? Competitive game script overall. Sean, is it time to drop Pitts? I mean, I've been off of Pitts for weeks. I mean, I wouldn't read too much into last night as the final indicator for your decision, but I've been off on Pitts for weeks now. Weeks and weeks. He gets Washington in week 12, and he gets New Orleans in week 15. Those are the two best teams in the league against opposing tight ends. But week 11, he gets Chicago. Week 13, he gets Pitt. Week 14, he's got a bye. Week 16, he gets Baltimore. He ends the season in Arizona, the best team in the league to go up against from the tight end position. But, I mean, I've been off on Pitts for weeks now. So, can you trust him on a week-in, week-out basis? My answer is no. You know, I didn't even like him coming into the season. Not that I dislike Pitts as a player or his skill set, but his draft value, like where you had to draft him, I just didn't like drafting him. So I really didn't recommend drafting him. But yeah, I've been off on Pitts for weeks. I haven't told you guys to start him in a really long time. So, but yeah, ultimately, don't let last night be the deciding factor because it was a rain game. We didn't like any of the pass catchers last night, you know. And let's face it, I mean, there's two bigger problems with Pitts: the game plans, the play calling, the non-involvement, and then Marcus Mariota's throwing him the football. So, Godfather, what's up, bro? Hope you are doing well as well. Appreciate you being here. Would you play Daniel Jones over Herbert this week? Yes. Now, keep in mind, like, Daniel Jones has a very limited ceiling, so I might go Herbert. It's close there. Here's my problem with Jones this weekend. Houston is actually, believe it or not, the 5th best team in the league from a fantasy perspective against opposing quarterbacks. They played very well against quarterbacks and receivers. What have they not played well against? Opposing running backs. Who do the Giants have at running back? Saquon Barkley, right? So the Giants are going to run the football a ton. I mean, why wouldn't you? So I think there's two aspects limiting Daniel Jones' upside. A, Saquon Barkley in this awful run defense for the Texans. And B, the Houston Texans have played well against the position. I do think that Herbert's going to be more of in a game script where he needs to throw the football. So I might actually go Herbert there. The best case scenario if you start Jones is like you get a lot of nice drives put together where Saquon Barkley in the run game are moving the football down the field. Then Daniel Jones runs for a touchdown or throws one or two. So there is a scenario there where Jones still has a good day, but I do think his upside is capped. Jason, what's good, bro? Start Knox, Komet, or Fearmouth. This week I'm starting Komet, but I'm not dropping Fearmouth. Fearmouth just has a really tough matchup this weekend. I still like Fearmouth due to volume, and he should see a little bit of a volume uptick with Claypool gone, but I still go Komet against the Lions. Damian, Antonio Gibson, or Gallup in PPR. I'd probably go Gibson, but I would do so with caution. I'm not starting Gallup until we see like a consistent pattern emerge, you know? Jacob, why do people think Watson's going to be good? Dude hasn't played football in 2 years. Yeah, it's an upside play, right? It's a risk play, you know? So we'll see what happens. But I personally, I'm not going to start him until I see it concrete on happening, you know? But he's worth picking up, but I wouldn't bank on him being your starter, so. Ewick, what's up, bro? Let's see. After these next 2 weeks after Saquon plays Houston, Detroit, should I trade him for Henry because Henry has a great playoff schedule? You can. Yeah, let's see where Barkley comes in for the playoffs because he didn't make my list, but Derrick Henry is one of the players who I talk about in the video that'll come out tomorrow for running backs to take a look at in terms of strength of schedule for the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, Barkley gets Washington, Minnesota, and Indy. So, I mean, granted, you know, Barkley is a player who's matchup proof. The ceiling's going to be higher for Henry at the end of the day. So, I'm not completely against it. I mean, the toughest matchups Barkley has had all year: Tennessee in week 1, Dallas in week 3. And listen to this. In week 1, Barkley had 33.4 fantasy points, his season high against Tennessee. And week 3, he had 22.6 fantasy points, his second highest total of the season. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, Barkley is just matchup proof. So I don't know. It's tough. Derrick Henry, on the other hand, has not played well against tough defenses against position outside of Washington in week 5. But he does get, he gets Jacksonville in week 14, but in the playoffs, he gets the Chargers in week 15 and Houston in week 16, which is just stupid. I mean, it's just unfair. So I might go out and get Henry. But he does face Dallas in week 17 in the fantasy championship. They are a top 5 team against opposing running backs, so keep that in mind as well. Rachaad White, a decent, desperate start. Desperate? Yes. Decent? Yeah. Why not? The Seahawks are not good against the run, so why not? But Leonard Fournette still sees involvement. We'll see what happens. One of these weeks, we'll probably see Rachaad White take over the backfield. Maybe it's this week in Germany against the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, I started Cordero this week. Who do you think I should start at wide receiver 2? Godwin, Debo, CeeDee. I have Saquon and Etienne at flex. So I go Debo for the upside since he started Cordero and he gave us a stinker. Saquon, Etienne, and Waddle need to be in your lineups, and I go Debo for upside. CeeDee and Godwin are fine, but they don't bring us much of a ceiling. I go Debo. Nick, do I drop Brian Robinson for Elijah Mitchell? Why not? Sure, go get a handcuff. Do you think Kyler plays this week? I think it's very possible, but he's day-to-day, and we're just going to have to sit back and see, Albert. I think it's very possible. It's also semi-possible that he does not play. So, day-to-day never sounds good to me, man. We'll just have to sit back and kind of see what happens at the end of the day. Packers are struggling on offense. Would you play the Cowboys defense over Eagles versus Commanders? Heineke throws better than wins. Yeah, let's go, Taylor. That's my boy. Oh, gosh, this is tough. I go Cowboys, though. I go Cowboys. Yeah, I like the Eagles' defense quite a bit this weekend, but the Cowboys are your number 2 team overall from a fantasy perspective. Number 2 defense. The Eagles are number 4. Like, they had 7 points against Houston. It was a short week, though. So, I believe the Patriots are number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I still play the Cowboys here. I play the Cowboys. Full PPR, Everett or Ingram? I'm going to go Gerald Everett here, but Ingram does have a good matchup, and I do think that he'll bounce back for sure. But Everett should see better volume. But it's pretty close. Both are fine. Happy Veterans Day to all my fellow vets out there. 100% happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. And thank you guys so much for your service as well. And Derek, thank you for your service, my dude. Jay Judah, Schultz or Dulcich? I go Greg Dulcich. He's got a great matchup. Tennessee's been very bad against opposing tight ends. And they're going to limit this run game for the Broncos without a doubt. And Russell Wilson's going to be forced to throw the football. Greg Dulcich will be that security blanket. He's a must-start in my eyes this week. Drop Waller for Matthew Stafford or Allen Robinson. Yeah, either one is fine, Nick. But probably Robinson. Probably not Stafford. Having second thoughts, would you start Palmer or Deontay Johnson over Olave? I probably wouldn't, Brent. Olave is just one of those players that has to be in your starting lineup. So, it's close, man. But I get what you're saying. Like, Palmer brings some nice upside, even in a bad matchup, but I'll go Olave. J. Jude, I'm starting T. Lawrence over Herbert. I think it's fine. I understand not wanting to start Herbert this weekend. It's really shaky, man. Antonio, Swift and Taylor for Henry and Mostart. Yes. I also have Walker at running back. Yeah, I mean, I'd consider Swift and Taylor for Henry alone. I know that sounds crazy, but Mostart, not as much value as Swift by any means, but there's still enough value overall in this Miami Dolphins offense at the end of the day that I think it's okay. And go get Henry. We just talked about that playoff schedule for Henry. Go get him, man. Why not? I have Herbert and Jimmy G. Should I drop Jimmy for Curtis Samuel? If so, would you flex Samuel or Jamal Williams? I could also drop DPJ. I wouldn't drop DPJ. He's been extremely consistent over the past couple weeks and got a good matchup this week. What's up, Stober? Good to see you, bro. If you're going to drop Jimmy G and start Herbert, like, you just got to decide, man. Are you going to start Herbert or are you going to start Jimmy G this weekend? You know? You can flex Curtis Samuel, but frankly, I just flex Jamal Williams against the Bears. He's my favorite flex option there. But I wouldn't necessarily drop DPJ. So, yeah. I roll with Jamal Williams in the flex, man. Would you start Case Keenum over Kirk Cousins if Josh Allen doesn't play? No, Derek, I would not. No. I mean, I'm probably not considering Case Keenum until we see what he looks like. You know? Unless you're in a super flex or double quarterback league, you know? So, I would say no, Derek. Elijah Mitchell, good pickup if you have CMC. Definitely. Yeah, go out and handcuff him for sure. Is Nick Chubb matchup proof? Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, really your top 5 running backs at the end of the day. You know, like CMC, Eckler, Nick Chubb, Barkley, Henry. I'm probably starting those guys regardless of matchup on a week-in, week-out basis. So, yeah, I'd put Chubb up there for sure. Let's see. Titans D or Giants D? Oh, it's close. But I'd probably go the Giants. Because I do think the issue with the Titans defense is they can't defend the pass. I'll go the Giants. Monty or Metcalf? What's up, Jason? It's close here because we just don't... This split for the Chicago Bears is so tough to read on a weekly basis. You know? Just really hard to read on a weekly basis. So I'll probably go Metcalf. Dak or Tua, both are going to have good weeks in my mind. So I probably go Tua because I think the game script will be a little bit more favorable there. I think that the Dolphins are just one of these teams on a weekly basis who give us a game script that we want to be a part of in terms of fantasy football. So I'll probably go Tua. It's close. I like Dak this week, and I like Dak in general right now, but I like Tua as well. So I'll roll with Tua this weekend. Seahawks over Bucks. Vikings over Bills. Thoughts? Both can definitely happen. I mean, the Seahawks they're for real right now, man. They lead that division for a reason. And the Buccaneers offense is struggling. It's just the reason that I'm kind of like back and forth on that game, Jason, is it's a Germany game. It's like these London games, similar to Thursday night matchups, they're always tough to read. So definitely possible. I wonder who's the favorite. I don't know. Vikings over Bills really depends on the health of Josh Allen. If Josh Allen doesn't play, I'm going to lean the Vikings. And even if he does play, there's a strong chance the Vikings are a very underrated team. I mean, if Josh Allen's healthy, I'm leaning the Bills, but it really depends on the health of Josh Allen. Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the $5 donation. I appreciate you. Emojis in the chat for Kelly. Thank you so much. Standard trade, JT and Fields for Swift and Olave. I have Patterson, Edwards, and Hines. Wide receivers are DJ, Lockett, Palmer. He has Hunt, Lamb. Kelly, who's your quarterback is the question I want to ask, you know? Who's going to start over Fields for you? The rest of the trade is fine. You know, Olave brings less value in standard scoring format. He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. You know, a lot of his value is coming in a PPR format or even a half PPR format. So keep that in mind. But it looks like you're struggling at receiver, especially with DJ Moore. I mean, if you could get Lamb, I'd rather see you get Lamb. But I just don't. I mean, with the way Fields is playing, I don't think Swift and Lamb's out of the question. Maybe rebuttal with that. But if you had to take Swift and Olave, I'm not completely against it. And JT's been banged up, right? But you just have to understand JT has time right now to get healthy, where Swift is kind of going in the other direction. He's been playing a little bit more, but could get unhealthy. So it's close, and it depends on what quarterback you have behind Fields as well. So let me know, Kelly, and then we can continue to dissect that. But it's not the worst trade, you know. So Kelly, thank you so much for the super chat. We'll keep taking a look at it as the night goes on. I was thinking Giants too, but all Texans do is run, so it's harder to get sacks, right? It's possible, yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't know who the Texans are going to throw to, but it's also easier for the Giants to stack the box and shut down the Texans completely and cause some turnovers. So, and I do think that this is a game script where the Giants will play good football, run the football well, be able to score some points and force the Texans to throw the football. So, but either team's fine there for a defense. Watching videos, what's up? Should I trade Mike Evans for Debo and OBJ? I mean, in my eyes, at the moment, you're trading Mike Evans for Debo and the uncertainty of OBJ. Like, OBJ might be a player for you. He might not. He might go to a good situation. He might not. He did last year and made an impact, but I just don't know. So the way I look at it is you're trading Evans for Debo, right? Debo comes in as your wide receiver 30 on the year. He's missed one game so far. Mike Evans comes in as your wide receiver 11. He's missed one game. You know, he's got a bye week in week 11. Debo had a bye week last week. Frankly, I think I'd rather keep Mike Evans at the moment. Should I trade Leonard? Who should I trade Leonard Fournette for? Depends on what you can get. It depends on what your needs are as well. But you're going to have to go out and look at a running back needy team. Okay, he's RB9 on the season. Okay, I mean, he's still your RB9. Week 9, he still had 11 fantasy points. You know, week 10 is not the best matchup against Seattle overall, but not a bad matchup when we look at this run defense for the Seahawks by any means. But he gets Cleveland in week 12 after the bye week, another good matchup. Go find a running back needy team, see what they have to offer. Rachaad White or Isaiah Pacquiao this week? I go Rachaad White. So a trade of Goddard for Lazard and T is good. Yes, especially if you have Kelsey at tight end. Feels though I could try to get more if I include a receiver of my own. I have Terry, Deontay, and Devonta. I would throw on Deontay Johnson if I'm going to trade any of those receivers. Devonta Smith still brings so much upside. I mean, if you don't like that boom or bust potential on a weekly basis, you could trade Devonta Smith. Deontay doesn't bring a good ceiling, but he brings a safe floor. So, either of those guys, depending on what you'd rather play for. A little bit of risk and upside, or no real ceiling, but safe enough of a floor in PPR and Deontay. But I'd keep Scary Terry. So, yeah, if you want to do that, I think that's fine. Richie, what's good, bro? Steelers or Arizona defense? I would keep a close eye on the Cardinals personally. If Matthew Stafford, which is really what you're keeping a close eye on, if Matthew Stafford doesn't play, then I'd probably go the Cardinals. You probably have a good situation there. But the Steelers are going to get TJ Watt back against Andy Dalton and company, who the Baltimore Ravens just made them look absolutely silly last Monday. So, guys, if the Steelers are available in your league, they are absolutely worth a look, because this defense completely changes with TJ Watt at the helm. I mean, they had 27 points against Cincinnati in week 1. Okay? They haven't had more than 5 fantasy points since. Okay? Including a -1 performance in week 8 and a 0-point performance in week 7. But I'm telling you guys, with TJ Watt healthy, they are a different unit. So don't do anything crazy, but if you want to stash them before someone else can, it's absolutely worth it. Jason Myers, a good streaming option this week. Jason Myers is more than a streaming option. He's your kicker 2 in fantasy. So I would hope that you don't have Justin Fields. You don't have Justin Tucker available this week, and that's why you're streaming. But yes, Myers should be rostered. Myers should absolutely, without a doubt, be rostered. Not even close in my eyes. So, yes. Picked up Brian Robinson off waivers for my flex. So, would you go with Robinson or Akers? I go with Robinson. I don't like either option, Shelton. But between the two, I go Robinson. Kyron Williams is supposed to suit up for the Rams. I don't know how that exactly impacts Cam Akers, but I'm not really confident in Cam Akers either way. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Would you start Amari Cooper or Christian Kirk this week? Full PPR given the matchups. They're both good matchups this weekend and both good game scripts. But I'll lean Amari Cooper because the Dolphins just allow really good game scripts overall from a fantasy perspective. So I will go with Amari Cooper. It's pretty close here. I do like Christian Kirk as well. Sorry, guys, trying to grab something. But I would, I go with Cooper. Very close. Both are good starts. I traded Miles Sanders for Lamb. Did I win? I like Miles Sanders a lot, but if you needed a receiver, I think it was a good trade for sure. Yep, it's not a bad trade. Start 2, Allen Robinson, Michael Gallup, Davis. Walketeers, this is tough. Because you got Matthew Stafford questionable and you got Josh Allen questionable. So I think you got to wait until we get a better answer on your quarterbacks here. Ultimately, I probably want to sit Michael Gallup, but if Stafford and Josh Allen sit, you're probably starting Michael Gallup just because Dak is actually playing. And I don't know who you're going to start after that. Flip a coin. It's maybe you have to look to the waiver wire, man. You got some bad situations at quarterback here. Am I crazy to be slightly worried about the Titans defense versus Bronco with all of Tennessee's injuries? No, you're not. You're not crazy at all. Mainly because this defense has an awful secondary. So you're by no means crazy at all. Who's worth holding on to? Schultz or Komet? Both are available. I have Kittle for a backup tight end. Yeah, definitely Kittle's your number one, but I'll go Komet. I like Schultz. I think Schultz is going to finish out the season better than he started, but I'll go Komet. You know, go for the upside, you know. I mean, you got Kittle, so you can play it a little bit risky here. Schultz feels a little bit safer, but ultimately, well, I'll go Komet. Why not? Kelly, you got Geno as well. Okay. I mean, if you're comfortable rolling with Geno the rest of the season, he's still quarterback 8 in fantasy, but I don't know, Kelly. In a standard league especially, where Fields brings that rushing upside and the ability to score on the ground, I might want to hold on to Fields. You know? I mean, if you can trade JT and Geno and get Swift and or Hunt and Olave or Hunt and Lamb. Swift and Lamb would be too good, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know, Kelly. I might hold. I just think in a standard scoring format, Fields is going to benefit you. You know what I'm saying? Ghost Hunter, thanks so much for your help, man. Of course, bro. Hard finding reasonable trades nowadays, so having someone to bounce ideas off is nice. Of course, bro. I appreciate you coming out to the streams, being part of the community, and I'm happy to be here for you, my guy. 49ers or Steelers defense? I'll go the Steelers. Niners are a little bit safer, but the Niners have not been playing well as of late. But they feel pretty nice against the Chargers. But I'd risk it. I go the Steelers against Andy Dalton and company with TJ Watt back. PJ, start Cooper or Lazard. I go Cooper here. Once again, I like this game script. I like the opportunity here against the Miami Dolphins. Should be a high-scoring affair. Don't get me wrong, I'm not out on Lazard this week, but he does have the tougher matchup against the Cowboys. So ultimately, I'll roll with Cooper. Ingram or Knox? I'll go Ingram. It's a good matchup against the Chiefs. We don't know what's going to be happening at the quarterback position for the Bills, so I'll go Ingram. Santos, what's up, man? Hope you're having a great night as well. What's up? Richie, who's the best chance to boom? Treylon Burks, Peoples-Jones, Scotty Miller, Gallup, or Dotson is ugly out here. I go Peoples-Jones because he brings the safest floor out of all these players. He's had like at least 9.1 fantasy points in the last 5 weeks, and that's the low out of the past couple of weeks. Like, yeah, you take away week 5, in his last 5 weeks, he's had 11.1 or more fantasy points, and it's a good opportunity this week against the Miami Dolphins. I mean, if you guys need a desperate flex option, Donovan Peoples-Jones is absolutely worth a look. He's rostered in 48% of fantasy leagues. So, yeah, I'd go out and I'd take a look at Peoples-Jones because the floor is safe and the ceiling's good. Ghost Hunter, do you do fantasy basketball? I do not. You guys would not want to get advice from me in fantasy basketball. Richie, Komet or Dulcich? I will go Greg Dulcich this week. I go Greg Dulcich. But I do like Komet a lot. They're both in the must-start video. They both have great matchups. They're both worth a start this week. I go Greg Dulcich, though. Seahawks defense worth running this week, or is Arizona the better choice? I do like the Seahawks defense if you guys need an option. I mean, like, you guys, you got to face it. At some point in the season, the Seattle Seahawks are defense number 3 in fantasy football right now. So, like, they're going to get, after the bye week, they get Las Vegas, the Rams, and Carolina 3 weeks straight. Those are 3 really good matchups. So, especially if they play well this week against Tampa Bay, they might be somebody we want to go out and pocket. Now, like, they're going to face San Francisco, Kansas City, and the Jets in the fantasy playoffs. Not nearly as good, but there's some opportunity against San Francisco. I don't like them at all against Kansas City. But, yeah, there's some opportunities here, guys. And at some point, we got to look at this team and say they are the number 3 team in fantasy. So, yeah, they are worth stashing. But Arizona this week, if Matthew Stafford does not play, I do like Arizona this week. Because at the end of the day, Arizona is coming in as like defense 7, I want to say. Can't find the Cardinals. There we go. Yeah, defense 7. Wow, I was right. So they bring a safe floor. Seattle a little bit riskier, but let's face it, not like the Bucs have been humming on offense by any means, so they're worth the risk, I think. But keep in mind they have a bye week next week. But then after the bye, like I said, some good matchups. Jacob, hat PPR, is Treylon Burks somebody who can provide a bit of upside later on? I mean, certainly, but a lot of risk, and we want to see it happen first. But yeah, I mean, there's no receivers on that team at the moment doing anything, so why not? 3 Walketeers, would you be okay with dropping the most for Treylon Burks coming back from IR? Gibson, Ricard, White, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, or Pitts? If you have another tight end, I'd say Kyle Pitts, quite frankly. But Kyle Pitts or Allen Robinson here. I mean, I hold on to Gibson because last week was bad, but he has been productive as of late, and he still has handcuff value. You know, Ricard White, a good handcuff value. Keenan Allen, you're keeping for name value, but when he comes back and healthy, still brings a lot of value. So, Allen Robinson or Kyle Pitts for me. But if you don't have another tight end, then you probably have to hold on to Kyle Pitts, you know. Would you start CD or Lazard? I feel Dallas is going to be up early and run the ball a lot. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Like, Lazard is probably going for some garbage time points. And, I mean, I'll say this much. Like, the Packers are going to have to throw the football in this game. So, if you feel better about Lazard, that's fine. But I think both are good starts. I mean, like, I don't think that they're very far apart ultimately. So, I'm good with that if you want to go with CD there. Or, excuse me, if you want to go with Lazard there. Aaron Jones, Lazard, or Evans for the flex. Yeah, this one's tough because Jones has a bad matchup. Lazard has a bad matchup. And ultimately, Evans has a bad matchup as well. So I think you want to kind of look at game script here. I think that the Buccaneers and the Packers will both be in game scripts where they need to throw the football. If you start Aaron Jones, his ceiling is just capped. I mean, really capped by this defense. So ultimately, I don't know if I want to start him, because if he doesn't score, I just don't think he has a good stat line. I'd probably go Lazard because he's been very consistent, but Lazard or Evans for sure. Whoever you feel most comfortable with. I will say these games, you know, Germany, London, whatever, like, the game scripts are very hard to tell. So there is a chance that with all the travel involved this week that the defense goes out the door for the Seahawks. This game gets out of hand, so maybe Evans, but I would go with whoever you feel better about between Lazard and Evans. Ghost Hunter, given that if you want to, I'd say try it out maybe next year. Fantasy basketball can be pretty fun as well. It's actually how I got into fantasy sports in the first place. So I actually am playing in a fantasy basketball league because Jerry, one of our OG subscribers and members of the community, put together a fantasy basketball league this year. But I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm easily that team that, like, everyone's beating every week. So my draft was pretty bad, and I don't think I've checked my lineups in like 2 weeks. So sorry, Jerry, and sorry to anyone in the basketball league. But I should pay more attention, and I would like to get into some, fantasy that's not just fantasy football. So, yeah. I feel about Scotty Miller this week. I mean, do I trust Scotty Miller? Not per se. You know, I mean, keep in mind that I know that he looked pretty good last week, but the Rams have not played well against opposing receivers. You know, and also is Julio Jones practiced in full. Russell Gage is out. So they were both out last week. I mean, yeah, Scotty Miller is very risky. Seattle's played much better overall against receivers, so I don't know that I like him very much. Kittle or Ingram this week. Field Jaguars might be down most game and have to throw compared to so many weapons in San Fran. I still go Kittle. I mean, yeah, Ingram actually has a good game script in place and a pretty good matchup overall, but I go Kittle. You just can't bench Kittle, man. You really can't. So I'll go with Kittle. Palmer or Rondell Moore. What's up, Sean? I will go Palmer because he will be the #1 receiving option, and the Niners will be in a game script where they have to throw the football, so I will go Palmer. But Moore is not a bad start. Full PPR, need 2 flexes. Randall Robinson, Mac Hollins, Zay Jones, DPJ, Everett, Higbee, Tony Schultz. Thanks. Of course, bro. We got you. I will go DPJ. DPJ is a good sleeper this week at the flex position. Everett and Higbee both have value, but not a great ceiling. Believe it or not, I'll go Mac Hollins. He's your certified #2 option up against the Colts this week. He's risky. If you don't want to risk it, go with Everett, but I'll go Hollins and DPJ. Call me crazy. But seriously, if you don't want to risk it, go Everett. Higbee has a very good matchup, but it depends, right? If Matthew Stafford's the quarterback this weekend for the Rams and he doesn't miss, then I do like Higbee here as well. I think he bounces back. Amon-Ra or Christian Kirk this week in PPR. This is tough. I like both. I think I'll go Christian Kirk, but I don't know. I think that Lions-Bears game is going to be pretty high scoring. Could get out of hand, so I don't know. I might go Amon-Ra. But I think the same. I mean, the Jaguars are definitely going to be in a position where they have to throw the football. I might go Christian Kirk. Those are, like, that's really close. That's really close. Very, very close. Basically in the same tier for me this weekend. Yeah, after the review, it's hard, but I'd probably go Lazard because the Packers are going to have to throw the football, and he's been very consistent. But it is difficult. Palmer, Kirk, or Jeff Wilson, all are good flex options, man. All are good flex options. But I'll go Christian Kirk. But they're all really, I mean, I could see any of these players outscoring each other. But all of them are very good flex options for the week. But yeah. Give me Christian Kirk. Warrior says hit the like. I appreciate that, bro. Guys, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Let's try and get as many likes on the stream as possible. And I am probably going to start wrapping it up here pretty shortly. We usually only stream for about an hour on Friday nights. And I've got a video I need to edit before tomorrow. So make sure you guys get your final questions in here as we start to wind down the stream. You think Philly might go undefeated? No. I mean, it's possible. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, what's that schedule look like? It's pretty favorable. But it's just so hard to do. We have more games than ever. You have more competitive games than ever. They're going to lock up a playoff spot probably earlier than any team in the league. Like, they're going to have to sit starters towards the end of the year. So, they get Washington, the Colts, Green Bay, Tennessee, the Giants, Chicago, Dallas, New Orleans, and the Giants. It's possible. Anything's possible. But you're going to get an upset loss in here more than likely. And, you know, they played very well against Dallas. But Dak wasn't the starter, right? So that game looked a little bit different, right? No, I don't think so. It's just too hard. It's just too... But anything's possible, you know? I think more than likely, though, you know, somebody is going to give him an upset. Ghost Hunter, we all have to start somewhere. It was pretty bad for a while, but after a few years, I started to pick up things. Yeah, man, I need to pay more attention to the basketball league. Sean, we got you, bro. This is actually my first year in fantasy football. Oh, no way. I've definitely made my fair share of missteps. I'm pretty decent. Yeah, man, I mean, first year is always interesting. But any year you're going to have missteps for sure. Shopkey got Lamb and Edmonds today for Connor and Hill. Would be cool if Edmonds took over Denver's running back room. Both have an unreal playoff schedule. Yeah, I'd love to have Lamb over. I mean, frankly, like trading Connor and Taysom Hill for Lamb is not that bad. So I think it's a good trade, bro. Monroe will finally boom this week. It's definitely possible. It's a good matchup, a good game script there. I have JJ and Cook against the Bills this week. Should I be worried against that Bills defense? Should I calm down? I mean, worried is fair. The ceiling will probably be capped for those two, but you just have to start them, man. You just have to start them. There's no doubt about it. I traded A.J. Brown for Olave and Walker. I have Diggs, Davis, Higgins, Kamara, and Ramondre and Foreman. So that leaves you with Diggs, Davis, Higgins, Kamara, Ramondre, Foreman, and Walker. I mean, it's not an awful trade. But, I mean, your running backs have more depth now. Your receivers have less depth. So you're going to be starting Diggs and Higgins than starting 3 running backs on a weekly basis, which is fine. But A.J. Brown and Olave hold a lot of value as well. But it doesn't look like it kills your roster by any means. Everett or McLaurin in the flex. I go McLaurin. Even in a tough matchup, I'm going to go McLaurin here. Give me McLaurin. Got Justin Fields on waivers for Lamar's bye week. Beautiful. Sell high on Fields if he has another big week, or should I hold him? In an 8-man league, I would hold both those quarterbacks. They both have very good... Well, Lamar has a very good playoff schedule. Justin Fields ultimately has a bad playoff schedule, but week 17 he plays the Lions. So I would hold on to Fields literally just for week 17. And I would hold on to Lamar and just play these two based on playoffs, or excuse me, on overall schedule, right? Lamar Jackson in the playoff gets Cleveland, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh. But, you know, there's going to be some weeks here where Fields has better matchups and some weeks where Lamar has better matchups. And keep in mind that Fields has a bye week as well. So I would hold both. Schultz or Hawkinson, worried about weather in Buffalo. I would go... You could go Schultz here if you want to, if you're really worried about the weather. I mean, Hawkinson's still probably a must-start even with a bad matchup, but if you're worried about the weather, go Schultz. That's fine. Oh, it's a 3-wide receiver league, Mr. T. Ooh. I may have held on to the receiver depth then, because he still had good running backs. I mean, Walker's a great running back to add. But now you're starting Diggs, Davis, and Higgins. You can't really trust Davis on a weekly basis. And you got him next to Diggs. Like, he eats into Davis's production. I may have held there. Ghost Hunter, have a good night as well. I'll be on tomorrow night. I'll be on Sunday before the games as well. But if we don't see you, yeah, man, have a great weekend and a great start to next week as well. All right, guys, we caught up to the chat. I'm going to go and wind things down here and close out the stream. Usually about an hour stream on Friday, which we just hit. So, guys, we have starts and sits for quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers out. I got must-start tight ends out for you guys because I feel like starts and sits for tight ends is pointless because, like, you're starting your top 6 or 7 guys, and you got some guys in the middle who are worth streaming or worth starting if you don't have the top 6 guys, and you have a ton of sits. So moving forward, I'm just going to do must-start tight ends and maybe a weekly tight end ranking as well. But must-start tight ends are out. Steven's got must-start kickers and must-start defenses out. So if you guys have any specific questions, go check out the videos for the week. Go drop a comment. Go drop a like. Let us know what you guys thought overall. But we've got everything out for the week. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping a video for you guys. Running backs to target for the playoffs. And then Sunday, I'm going to actually drop a video too. Quarterbacks to target for the playoffs, and then we'll move on to receivers and tight ends next week as well. So yeah, got plenty of content coming up for you guys. We got plenty of content out for the week, so go check out what we got. And I thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. Check out all the links down below. Make sure to join the Discord. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Those are the 2 best places to reach us when we are not streaming outside of the YouTube comment section. So appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Appreciate you guys spending part of your Friday here at the channel. Thank you guys so much for all the fantasy questions tonight. Thank you to anyone who sent out a super chat. I think it was just Kelly tonight. Thank you, Kelly. And ultimately, thank you guys for keeping the fantasy conversation going in the chat. And thank you guys for hanging out, supporting the channel, and being here. So smash that like button. Check out the links down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'll be on tomorrow night for our Saturday stream. And I'll be on Sunday before Week 10 kickoff as well. Can you guys believe we're moving into Week 10? I mean, this season is just flying by. All right. Thank you guys, man. Everyone have a great start to your weekend. And I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, You saw it here on the catch.